Hey, what's good, man? It's your boy Oats coming back at you with another video, and today I'm gonna talk about like the Last of Us 1 remake for the PlayStation 5 that recently Naughty Dog dropped. And I'm just gonna share a bit of my thoughts about it because like I have a lot of mixed feelings about the game considering how much I love the original Last of Us. I never played The Last of Us 2 because of all the negative reviews, and I went out of my way to spoil even the ending and like the big like story plot of like Last of Us 2. And it's a horrible game, it's a horrible story, and like it's really sad like how bad Naughty Dog is like doing. And now they have released like a remake of the original Last of Us, and I don't think I want to play it. The reason why is because the future of The Last of Us is looking a little bleak right now. Because the major problem I have with The Last of Us 2 is the fact that it felt a lot like woke PC virtue signaling messaging throughout the game, and all I really want at the end of the day is a really good story. I don't want to be told that I'm a bad person or like, you know, I should like think about something in a certain way because like the society of nowadays like calls for it. I don't want to do that. Like I want to play the game and forget about like the real world for a second. And when it comes to like the Last of Us 1 remake, it is like a really good story because that was like the game was originally made in an era where Naughty Dog was killing it. They had the best talents, they had the best people working on the project. And you gotta remember, like the people that made The Last of Us 2 are different, right? They still had that game director, Neil Druckmann, but that's about it. And what I know about Neil is the fact that he just likes imposing a lot of his like world views in his game. And I get a little sick of it, and like I think like the game hasn't changed very much in The Last of Us 2. And you know, it's just like filled with like a lot of virtue signaling stuff and the fact of how they treat the characters, right? So playing The Last of Us 1 remake for the PS5 right now, even with all the pretty graphics, just really feels like a slap in the face of as a fan, because the game's future is really in question right now. Like, why would I play the first game now that I know the second game is gonna be trash, right? Now that I know like what is gonna happen to Joel and all the other characters, like it doesn't make me happy at all, right? I think like a lot of games like The Last of Us and Halo and all these like sequels are really hurting the franchise because it really like there's no hope for a sequel. Once you know like the sequel to the game that you love is already horrible. So why would you want to go back and play a remake of the game? I'm sure the graphics are going to be pretty, the music is going to be awesome, it's going to be like a fresh whole new experience for you as a gamer that you love the original game to go explore, but I don't know. I guess like what I'm saying is like the reason why The Last of Us 1 remake is so unattractive is because The Last of Us 2 was so bad. You know? See, now if The Last of Us 2 was amazing and the story was dope, the gameplay was really dope, and I can't wait to go and play, I can't wait for a third game. Then I would actually go back and play the remake. Because it would be really cool to re-experience the whole story with fresh graphics and fresh frame rate and all that stuff. But if you know the story's already gonna be bad, like, would you want to go back and watch the first one or play the first one? I don't know. There's a very big like... there's no incentive. There's no incentive to go back. And I think like that's why like I think it's like pointless to even make a remake, right? You're making a remake of a game that it's already a masterpiece, cool, but are you doing that to try to right the wrong of the second game? You know what I mean? Like I do believe in like reinforcing like what is already good, right? Like you're kind of like allowing a game that is already successful to be even more successful by making the graphics better, making it more accessible to next generation gamers. But if you're gonna charge like $60, $70, and your sequel is gonna be trash, like what is the point of it? You know? Yeah, I think that's how I really feel about The Last of Us right now. Like I really feel like the second game like really mars the entire legacy of Joel and Ellie. And I don't feel like playing the remake again. And it just feels really sad. Cause what I felt for the original game was something really special. And even not playing the Last of Us 2 and actually listening to whatever happened in the game secondhand, it's just horrible, man. It's like if I play The Last of Us 1 right now, I have to kind of imagine like The Last of Us 2 didn't happen. Right? In order for me to enjoy The Last of Us 1 again, I have to pretend The Last of Us 2 didn't happen. It doesn't matter how pretty your graphics is. Like I have to reimagine that The Last of Us 2 didn't happen. Cause as I'm playing the first game again, I don't want to like imagine like Joel's head getting crushed in. You know what I mean? It just makes me sad. It's kind of like rewatching Game of Thrones, right? Like the first few seasons were amazing, but once it reaches like season 6, 7, 8, it just feels bad. And all that potential you had like set up in the original few seasons is gonna go to waste. You know what I mean? So that's exactly how I feel about The Last of Us 1 remake and why I'm not gonna buy it or even play it. Like I might play it if it actually comes out free on the PlayStation Plus. And I might be pleasantly surprised, but I would have to pretend the second game doesn't exist. In order for me to have any enjoyment of the first game, I have to pretend the second game doesn't exist. I guess the only way they could fix it is if they could say like the second game was all a really bad dream, and like, you know, I want them to do like a redo of like Last of Us 2, man. Give us back Joel, give us back what we really want. Innovate on the gameplay, you know? Don't give us any virtue signaling stuff. Like, I want to play a game. I don't want like diversity. I don't really care if I see Asian people in like... That's the crazy part, right? Like, I saw an Asian dude in like Game of Thrones House of Dragon last night. It was really whack. I don't want to see Asian dudes like in that world. I want to see white people. Right? Right? I don't want like diversity ruining my fantasy. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I don't want to see like a white lady become the mystic master in, you know, Doctor Strange. Just as like I wouldn't want to see an Asian dude become a guard in Game of Thrones. Or in this case, House of Dragon. I think like diversity and like virtue signaling ruins franchises a lot. Especially if you guys see like what happened to like the Rings of Power and how like they now have like black elves. And it doesn't like match up with the lore, because if you really care about the lore of the Lord of the Rings and Tolkien, elves are not supposed to have any tan skin, because they existed for a long period of time under starlight before they even came to Middle Earth. So having a tanned elf, Asian elf, or a black elf wouldn't make sense, right? I feel like a lot of shows nowadays would sacrifice the lore and like the richness of its fantasy just for like opening up a quota of diversity. You know, that's not what people want. You know, I really struggle with the idea of like executives and producers wanting their shows to be successful, but yet like thinking the way they get there is by being woke. Right? Isn't like the idea of like, you know, isn't it like normal for people to understand, or isn't like it a general consensus right now to think that if you ever go woke, you're gonna go broke? You know what I mean? That's how like I feel like how out of touch entertainment producers and game directors are nowadays, you know? They surround themselves in a bubble of people that are all about virtue signaling and telling how much of a bad person you are, instead of allowing you to just play the game and enjoying a good story just for the sake of a good story. You know, you gotta have a gay person, a trans person, a black person, Asian, you know, Mexican. You gotta have all of those. Like, I don't get it. So, yeah, that's my take. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. It would really help me out.